All right, welcome to another Living Freestyle life event topic. We got to go back to the whole private school, public school transition for this one, and my first crush. So, it's your first crush. There's not a whole lot of other, women in my life except for Grams, and so I had no idea how to even approach this. And so what did I do? I went to talk to the one person in my life who was also a woman. And what a mistake! What a mistake that would end up being. So I had this huge crush on Caroline Chilvers. She was older, completely out of my league. Didn't have a chance. But I still asked for Graham's help anyways, and it got all of the creative force of Graham's and the lessons and everything, plus my own creative and everything thrown into a love poem. That wasn't just a love poem, it was a love poem plus an art project where, it was written on heart-shaped paper and cutouts and mounted and all this stuff. And I gave it to Caroline. And the problem was, it wasn't successful in the sense, of course, like I said, completely out of my league, not a chance. But it wasn't a disaster either. She was actually moved by it, and I didn't get ridiculed, right? So that was, I don't know, it was kind of a weird not success thing. So I had kind of set this baseline where that's kind of what you did. So now fast forward to public school. Mature sixth grader, Appa, all right? And I had a huge crush on Kara. And rather, because we weren't allowed to pass notes in class, and in school we had three classes. We had Mrs. Cron's, Mr. Norman, and Mrs. Davis. And I was in Mrs. Cron's class, Kara was in Mrs. Davis's class. And so how was I gonna get this note to her? Well, I thought I would be mature, and I thought I would do a proper envelope, addressed envelope, the whole bit. So I wrote this poem, put it in the shape of a heart, not quite as artistic as, the full tilt of Graham's help, but just something. I put it in an envelope, I addressed it, and I went to school early one day and went to Mrs. Davis, who was the cool sixth grade teacher, by the way. And I asked her to please deliver my mail to Kara when it was appropriate and convenient. Mrs. Davis broke some kind of rule or code, if you will, and she opened my letter. Not only did she open my letter, she was so moved by my letter that she felt the need to read it to her entire class, in front of Kara as well. I think the only reason that I didn't actually die that day was because I was sitting in Mrs. Kronz's class when all this happened, and I didn't have to sit here and endure the torture of having this teacher read all of my, emotions to the class out loud. So, that is why I have never written another love poem since, because I was so emotionally scarred. And I think it was so memorable, though, that I moved away. And when I came back in high school, I remember one of the first things that happened when I moved back, Tracy came running up to me and she's like, "Do you remember that love poem that you wrote to Kara about the flowing hair and all these things?" And I'm pretty sure I didn't, even then I probably could have owned that a whole lot better and didn't respond as super well as I could have. Sorry, Tracy. But as I said, I was pretty scarred by Mrs. Davis's help. Now, that being said, there was at least, a couple more times I did actually do some writing, and I found one of them, and I'm actually gonna read a poem I wrote in high school. At the time, a friend of mine who I also happen to have a huge crush on was going through some pretty dark period as a result of medical complications with some domestic violence and kind of abuse type stuff. She was in a pretty dark place, and hopefully I was there to kind of, I don't know, be there, hopefully, you know. Obviously, I wouldn't be so presumptuous as to think I helped her through it, but hopefully, you know, having somebody there was at least something. But during that time, I actually wrote this for her. So take this with a grain of salt. This was, you know, 35 plus years ago. Unedited, you can see it's kind of on its original paper. And I will try not to brutalize this too much, but here we go. All right. When walking next to still lake shores and sparkles fill your eyes, I'm there. When you crunch through fall leaves where breezes play with hair, I'm there. When terror smothers your thoughts and you're racked in quivers, so too am I, but I am there. When stretched on beaches star-like sand and warmed by sun's many hands, I am there. No matter where, I am there. Sometimes following, sometimes leading, others by your side. I am there. I am your shadow. Look around and you will see. I am there should arise the need. You may ask, when skies are gray and nights are gloom, then where are you? With a smile, I'll reply, I'm there then too. Especially then. When clouds of gray dim your day and night's dark touch creeps on in, and every side and every corner and every groove is where I'm found, there to guard and soothe. Should you doubt, approach the fire. You'll see me dance to the crackling tune, dance between you and gloom. I am there and will never wear, always. Probably the last bit that I can remember writing, and it's also, you know, as a result of the emotional scars, thanks to Mrs. Davis, you know, probably a thing that I used to do a lot of that I kind of stopped doing. Again, you know, the point of these is to kind of get to know a little bit about Appa. So there you go. I guess I have a hopeless romantic poetic side. So I hope you all have a great day, and I will catch you on the next one.